Well, welcome back to Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. I'm Bryce, and if you're new here, this podcast is all about honest conversations about life with Parkinson's. I share the highs, the lows, and everything in between, and there's a lot in between. But anyway, in the last episode, I talked about the things that I've had to stop, change, and adapt to since my diagnosis. And today I want to take things back to the beginning, back to when I was first diagnosed. Because I was thinking about if I could go back and talk to myself in those early days, there are so many things that I tell myself. The things that I wish someone had told me, the things that I had to learn the hard way. And today I'm going to share them with you. So, whether you've been recently diagnosed or you've been living with Parkinson's for years, I hope this episode helps you feel a little less alone. And you know what? Let's just dive right into it. Again, what I wish I knew when I was diagnosed. So, when I first heard the words, you have Parkinson's, I had no idea what was coming next. I had no idea how much my life was going to change. And looking back, there are a few things I wish I'd known from the start. When I was diagnosed, I thought, okay, now I have answers, right? Now I know what's going on. Now I get it. But what I didn't realize is a diagnosis isn't the end of the road. It's just the start of a whole new journey. And the journey looks different for everyone. Parkinson's is completely unpredictable. Some people progress quickly, others slowly, some have tremors, some don't. No two cases are alike. So if you're newly diagnosed, my first piece of advice is this: don't compare your journey to anyone else's. That's one of the things that when I got diagnosed, and you've heard my story, and you can go back to the episode, I think episode one, I shared my story. But when I first got diagnosed, I had a tremor in my right hand and my pinky, and went through this whole process of 2 years of trying to be diagnosed, or going to different neurologists and being told I was nuts and crazy, and it was only in my head. And anyway, if you want to hear that story, go back to episode one. But when I so I didn't know where to turn. So after this 3 year journey, really, to be honest, I was really just relieved. I was like, thank God. Okay, now I get it. Okay, now at least I know why my pinky's tremoring and or tremoring, and by that time, why my right foot was clenched up when I woke up in the morning. So yay, I got it. I finally can now I can deal with it. I understand what it is. I'll deal with it. And then, I've said many times, and then once I got back to my car, because, everything after, and you hope maybe you can relate to this. When I heard those words, you have Parkinson's, from that moment on, I think I was in the doctor's office for another, 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes after that. I have no idea what the heck he said. I mean, when you hear you have Parkinson's, the rest is a blur. It's just like it's like Charlie Brown, like wah 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 wah. I didn't know what was being said. I can't even remember to this day. I have no clue what he said. My doctor could have given me the winning lottery numbers for the next 20 years, and I wouldn't even have. It wouldn't even be in my head. But so what do we do? What do we do? Excuse me. I'll just get my hydrate my voice a little bit. So what do we do? If you're like me, I go home, I hit Google or hit the internet, and I Google everything I can. And I'm just like, how long, what's the prognosis? Can I live well with this? What's happening? How long is this going to be? What happens next? Can I continue to work? Can I walk my daughter down the aisle? I was just asking all these questions, like, what in the heck is going to happen to me? So I started started reading different people's journeys. And there's some journeys out there that aren't great, right? And so and there's some that are. And then I started realizing, and then as I learned and as I know now today, when we say that no two people with Parkinson's is alike, we call it like the snowflake, like we're a snowflake. Everybody's the same. It's a snowflake. We're all snowflakes, but we're all different, and we all progress at different rates, and we all have different symptoms, and we all feel different things. I mean, we all have generally some of the same things or similarities of everything, but there's different degrees to everything. So I was comparing myself to, okay, I'll be honest. I was diagnosed at 40. So who do you think I was comparing myself to? I was comparing myself to Michael J. Fox. And when I looked at Michael J. Fox at like 55, which I'll be this year, it freaked me out. I'll be honest, it freaked me out. I'm like, holy mama, like that's kind of where I'm going to progress to in 15 years. And now I sit here, at 55, and I'm going, oh, okay. I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing better than I thought I was going to be. And ahead of expectations. So that's the one thing. I mean, you can take. Yeah, I don't mean. What I mean by that is, don't listen to people's stories. Don't not take stories, but either get inspiration from those. Like, look at somebody who is, who had been diagnosed before you. Maybe even me. And I've been diagnosed now for over 15 years, and if you like the way that I look, and I mean, come on, who wouldn't? No, I'm just, I'm absolutely kidding. But what I mean is, I don't have a lot of I'm not, I mean, I'm not swaying as much as some may and whatnot, but maybe just glean on it, right? Like say, okay, you know what? That's really cool. I hope I can be like that or be like that person, or I can have a similar experience to that and learn what they've done and learn some of the tips and tricks that they have and kind of mimic what you can. And it may work for you, and it may not, but take a little bit of everything. And the reality is you'll live hopefully you can progress this or keep the progression at as low its limits, as low its levels for yourself. So that's my goal with this, with this YouTube channel, with this podcast is, what can I'll give you as much as I know, right? What I've done, things I've learned, and you take what you can out of it and just try to keep it at bay, man. That's my whole goal is just keep the progression as slow as I possibly can go and get as old as I possibly can get, as active as I possibly can be. So anyway, that's the first thing I would say is that I wish someone would have told me, just you can't compare, you're a snowflake. They say, what do they say? They say, if you've met one person with Parkinson's, then you've met one person with Parkinson's. What else would I tell myself? Well, when I was first diagnosed, I felt this pressure to have a plan immediately. Like, what medication do I take? What lifestyle changes should I make? How do I prepare for the future? And let me tell you, it was completely overwhelming. So the truth is, you don't have to figure it all out at once. Parkinson's is a marathon, not a sprint. So give yourself permission to take things one step at a time. And if there's one thing I've learned is that your plan will change. Medications will change. Symptoms will change. And that's okay. The key is to stay flexible and adapt as you go. You know, they say that, like I just said, everything's going to change. I had this pressure. I'm like, okay, I need a plan. I got to know how much longer I'm going to work for, when I'm going to retire, what that's going to look like. How long do I have, the whole nine yards. I wanted to plan it all out so I could, and I think, to be honest, I think I wanted to, so I could tell people, because people ask me all the time, so what's next, what's going to happen to you, blah blah blah. And I felt like I had to have an answer. Well, this is where I'm at, this is the stage I'm at, this is what typically happens next, here's how long this is going to be. I'm going to work till I'm 55 or 50 or whatever it might be. And the truth is, well, I diagnosed it at 40, and I thought my plan was I'd have five good years left. So 45, everything was going to change for me when I turned 45. And I turned 45 and I still felt okay. I mean, it's progressed. There was some definite changes and some things that I had to change and adjust, like I mentioned in the last episode. And, and then I got to, so I think, okay, well, I'll go for 5 more years. So I'll go till I'm 50. And then, by that time, I'll have to, readjust everything. And I certainly can't be working after that. And I got to 50 and I was like, okay, not bad, not bad. I think I can continue going until about I was like 52 or 51, and that's when I had to retire from my role, the role that I was in, because it was just it didn't suit my symptoms. That's what I was saying. It didn't suit my symptoms. I was flying a lot. I was traveling a lot. I had a massive staff. I was in charge of I don't know what it was, like three warehouses and 60 stores across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Canada. And the travel, the stress, it was just taking a toll. And I realized that I just wasn't being really me. I was exhausted all the time, and I just couldn't keep up to that role, or couldn't make those quick decisions in my head. I couldn't multitask as much. So that's when I had to retire, which I thought, okay, so now I'm in retirement. And then, at 50, when was I at? At 50, 52. And I thought that's what it was going to be. And, after I took about a year and just kind of, like I started this YouTube channel, started doing other things. And I just sort of, I guess, recharged my batteries, I guess. And I got very excited about advocating and getting out and spreading hope and hopefully inspiring people to know that Parkinson's diagnosis is not a death sentence. And wanted to leave a mark with my life as best I could and help as many people as I could. And so, I was retired for 1 whole year and then started talking with Parkinson Canada, started doing some webinars for them and doing some interviews, local interviews on TV and radio, and really liked and loved where the organization was going and things that they were, wanting to change up. And they offered me a role, and I've taken it, and I love it. I absolutely love it because I'm every day I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives, and every day I'm making decisions and leading teams or teams in different areas. I'm leading teams to get new resources for people with Parkinson's to do more services, more groups, whatever it might be. And so I feel that I feel such pleasure and joy in that. It's amazing. But again, if that was not my plan, if I look back 15 years ago, I'm like, my plan would have been scrapped 100 million times. So just don't feel any pressure to have to know everything. Don't feel a pressure to have to plan everything. It's progressive disease. Have a progressive plan. You know what I mean? There's certain things that you certainly should plan in your day and plan into your life, but you just don't have to know everything and don't have to plan it all. And I kind of like let life come to me sometimes. I'm proactive in a lot of things, but I just let life come to me and I'm stop worrying about tomorrow and stop worrying about next year and stop worrying about 10 years down the road, stop worrying about what that's going to look like when I'm 10 years later, because it's like if you worry too far in advance about like, what is this disease going to do to me and what am I going to look like and how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that, you spend so much time worrying about the future that you're not enjoying the day, you're not enjoying today, and you really that's such a blessing to you, and it's going to rob yourself of that. So you need to get out of that mindset. All right. Okay, so another thing that I wish someone would have told me right at the very beginning, so I'm going to tell you what it is that medication is important, but it's not everything. When I first started on medication, I thought, great, this is going to fix it. But Parkinson's doesn't work like that. Medication helps manage the symptoms, but it's not a cure. I wish I'd known earlier how important things were like exercise and sleep and stress management, how important they are to managing the Parkinson's. It's not just about the pills, it's about taking care of your whole body and your whole mind. And if I could go back and tell myself to start focusing on something right away, it'd be movement. I would focus on movement right away because the sooner you start, the better. And I wish someone would have told me that right from the very, very beginning. Um, you know, again, it was sort of like I was very focused on getting my meds right and getting meds in place and having everything set up that way. Don't get me wrong, it's very important. Don't get me wrong, it's very important. But I figured, okay, you know what, exercise and worrying about my mind and all that kind of stuff. My body, my mind. I'm like, you know what, I'll worry about those once I figure out my meds and get to a stable area of when I'm feeling good again. But the truth is that doing exercise and movement, even if it's just walking around the block, just getting out and moving, will do so much for you. It's incredible, and it will also help with those symptoms. It helps with the symptoms, right? And so it'll go cool. It'll go like right around. It'll go right along with your medication to help you. So I wish someone would stress the importance of movement. And again, when I say movement, I mean if you can exercise, you go and take a boxing class or do some dancing or yoga or working out or marathon running, riding bikes, whatever that might be. But if that's like not appealing to you and you're not into that right now or at all, when I say movement, just get up and walk around the block. Walk and go and get the mail. Walk and do something. Just move. If it's cold where you are, go to the mall. Walk around the mall 3 or 4 times. Just be careful you don't spend too much money there. But anyway, um, that's just one thing. Again, another thing that I really wish someone would have emphasized. I was told, but they didn't emphasize how important it was. How about you? Like, what's one non-medical thing that's helped you manage your Parkinson's? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what's working for you and share with the community, and maybe it'll help somebody. It really will. All right. So I used to think that I could handle everything on my own. I didn't want to burden anyone. And honestly, I wasn't ready to admit I needed help. I didn't even want to tell anybody I had Parkinson's for a long time. But looking back, I wish I'd leaned on others sooner. Whether it's your spouse, your family, friends, or a support group, having people understand and support you makes a huge difference. And if you don't have that support yet, don't be afraid to seek it out. There are Parkinson's communities everywhere online. There's groups and organizations that can help you connect with others who truly get it. You need community. It is so important. And Again, I thought that I didn't need anybody. I'd figure it out. I'm a strong guy. I don't have to share my weaknesses and share what I'm struggling with. But the reality and the truth is, you need community. You need to talk to people. You need to be involved with people. So even things like this, like watching podcasts or listening to podcasts like this, is great and it's good for you. But join the community. We're starting to build a community here. Leave something in the comments about what you're dealing with or going with, or want to chat about. And and I encourage other people in this community to reach out to. You don't have to wait for me to respond to somebody. If somebody says something or asks a question, let's jump in. Let's be a community, right? Let's rally around each other. I want to build a community that is real, a community that's honest, a community that just states the facts. But like, let's like I said, the good, the bad, and the reality. Like, I'm having a great day. Here's what's going on. I'm having a shitty day, and here's what's going on. And you know what? If we can rally all together, that's huge. So if you're listening or watching this podcast, no matter where it is, if you're watching it live or in replay, or no matter where you are, just maybe introduce yourself in the comments. Hey, I'm new here. My name is blah, 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 and I'm from blah, 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 right? Been diagnosed with PD for this long. And I encourage others to reach out, others to reply. And let's just rally together. And that'd be cool. I just think that'd be so cool. When I was diagnosed, I thought Parkinson's was just a physical disease, right? But I quickly learned that the mental and the emotional side are just as challenging. I had to learn how to shift my mindset. I had to focus on what I could do instead of what I'd lost, to find joy in the small moments and to accept tough days without letting them define me. If I could go back, I'd tell myself this, that Parkinson's is going to change your life. It is, but it doesn't have to take away your purpose. I would fixate on, if I all of a sudden I couldn't do something that I used to do, right? Years before or even the day before, and I couldn't do it the next day. I would literally fixate on it. I'd beat myself. I'd feel sorry for myself. Oh, it was just awful, right? It was just like going to like a 3 or 4 day funk. Like, well, this is awful. This sucks. Why me? Why did this have to happen? I used to be able to do this. I can't do this now. What's next? What's up? What's my future? This is awful. I'm never going to win. It's just the whole 9 yards. And it just cycles and cycles and cycles. Like, it would take me 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days even to come out of that. I'd be down and depressed and isolate and wouldn't want to deal with anybody or do anything. And, I think was when you really think about it, because you're looking at yourself from holistically and from a whole sense. And okay, so all these little things that I can't do now, when you add them all together, it's just my life's over, right? There's no future. I'm not going to retire a snowbird. I'm not going to be able to enjoy my grandkids. I'm not going to, if my kids ever have some kids anyway, but I'm not going to be able, I'm not going to enjoy my grandkids. I'm not going to see grandkids. I mean, I'll be gone by then. I mean, you just envelop all this mindset of just doom and gloom, rather than, and then again, when I said it took like 6 days or 7 days to get out of this funk, well, I mean, come on, you start realizing things every single day. You're learning about these new things that aren't the same and new things that are changing. And man, if it took you 7 days or longer every time you realize that something was different or changed or worse or you couldn't do, you're going to be on the couch for the rest of your life. And what a waste for you. You have so much to offer and so much to give. And I don't know who I'm talking to right now, and I'm talking to you. You have so much to give back to yourself, to your family and friends, to your community, to the world. And I encourage you to not waste the good time you have left. You know what? There's going to come a time, and it comes time for everybody in the world, that things are going to change and you're going to get older and you're not going to be able to do things. And maybe that's going to happen faster for some of us or for us overall. So then don't waste this time when you can still do things. And every one of us, no matter what stage you're at, no matter where you're at in this journey, I know that if you really think about it, there's something you can do that's going to either make you feel better or it's going to make someone else feel better. And if you make someone else feel better, I guarantee you it's going to make you feel better. So why don't we start there? You still have a purpose. You still have life. Life's not done. Life's not finished. You still have life. Don't waste it. I call this doing life today. And why? Because I want you to do life. I don't want you to just live it and exist and get through it. I want you to do it. I want you to do it, do it, do it, do it. Okay? How about you? What's something positive that you've learned about yourself since your diagnosis? Something good, something's changed. Drop in the comments. Share it with me and everyone else. I'd love to hear your perspective. Well, there you go. If you're newly diagnosed, I know how overwhelming it feels. I know how many questions you have, how many fears you're facing. Been there, done it. But here's what you want. Here's what I want you to take away from this episode. You're not alone. You don't have to have all the answers right now. And you are stronger than you think. I really hope this episode helped in some way. And if it did, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe. Let's keep this conversation going. And I'll see you next time on Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. Thanks for joining me.